What's good, YouTube? It's your boy, Blue Blood Sports TV, back at y'all with another one. So, we know that two things held to be true. We know now, for one, former unified three-belt WBA, WBC, IBF welterweight world champion, superstar boxer, who was widely considered to be top 10 pound for pound best fighters in the world today's time. That being superstar boxer Errol "The Truth" Spence Jr. Errol Spence Jr. has a record of 28 wins, 1 loss, 1 draw, 22 big wins by way of knockout. He is 33 years of age, 5'9.5" with a 72-inch arm reach. Errol Spence took on and lost for the first time in his career. Errol Spence lost to now undefeated 3-division world champion, former junior welterweight undisputed world champion, now the reigning welterweight world champion, superstar boxer, who is the reigning undisputed welterweight world champion, who is widely considered by many to be and acknowledged as the #1 best pound for pound fighter in the world, in Terrence "Bud" Crawford. Terrence "Bud" Crawford has a record of 40 wins, no losses, no draw, 31 big wins by way of knockout. He is 35, going on 36 years of age, 5'8" with a 74-inch arm reach. They fought July 29th, Las Vegas, Nevada, T-Mobile Arena. And with that said, it was the most highly anticipated fight. It was the most competitive fight on paper, 50-50 fight if there ever were one, in the last 40 years. It was expected to be an instant classic. It turned out to be an instant classic just in favor of Terrence Crawford, and a one-sided instant classic in favor of Terrence Crawford, as Errol Spence won the first round, but then he got dropped in the second round. He won the first half of the third round, and then he started to get battered from the second half of the third round on. He got dropped twice in the 7th round and stopped in the 9th round. So with that said, in negotiations, Errol Spence negotiated an instant, immediate rematch clause for the loser. Now, at the time, he didn't know he was going to be the loser. Actually, he thought he was going to be the winner. But he came up drastically short. So many people, they ask me this question: why do you still consider Errol Spence pound for pound top 10 best fighters in the world? There's a numerous of reasons why. For one, Errol Spence lost to the best fighter in the world. Now, he got dominated, he got stopped, he got dropped 3 times and ultimately stopped. But he lost to the best fighter in the world. 2, you can't name me 9 fighters in the world that's better than Errol Spence when he's not facing Terrence Crawford. Right? It's almost impossible, especially seeing as though heavyweights don't belong on the pound for pound list. So when you exclude heavyweights, Tyson Fury, Alexander Usyk, Deontay Wilder, Anthony Joshua, heavyweights don't belong on the list. Okay? It's hard pressed to find 10 fighters better than Errol Spence Jr. Maybe you could find 10, but he's at number 11. You're not going to find more than 10 fighters that are better than Errol "The Truth" Spence Jr., not named Terrence Crawford, because he lost to Terrence Crawford. So with that said, Errol Spence is at his last rope. And I explained this, and I'm going to explain it to many people who keep asking me, well, if you feel like he's top 10, top 11 pound for pound best fighters in the world, then why do you feel like if he loses to Terrence Crawford, his career will be over? And I say this, to that I say this. It depends how he loses to Terrence Crawford. If Errol Spence gets battered, beat up, and stopped by Terrence Crawford again, his career is over. History has shown us in the sport of boxing that when you take such punishment, you lose something in that fight. And 9 times out of 10, that fighter is never the same. And they very rarely bounce back History has shown us, when you look at the Roy Jones Juniors of the world, when he got knocked out by Antonio Tarver, he was never the same. His confidence wasn't the same. His punch resistance wasn't the same. He wasn't the same fighter. When Mike Tyson was brutally knocked out by James Buster Douglas, and then now there's a little bit of difference that he ended up going to prison. But even when he came back, he wasn't the same guy. And then when he lost to Evander Holyfield, he was never the same guy. He never recovered, right? When you look at Shane Mosley, Sugar Shane Mosley, when Shane Mosley lost to Vernon Forrest and Winky Wright, he was never the same guy again. He was never the same guy. When you take punishment the way Errol Spence took punishment, your punch resistance, your confidence, it goes away. Errol Spence is a human being. So in this fight, Errol Spence has to be competitive. If Errol Spence is competitive and loses a close fight, then I could see him bouncing back and possibly winning a championship in another lane, meaning that against a fighter that's not named Terrence Crawford. But when you get battered the way he got battered, you're never the same. It's like Tyson Fury said, even in victory, those 3 fights that he had with Deontay Wilder, 2 wins, 1 draw, it took something out of him. He's just simply not the same guy. And he was in victory, right? When you take that type of punishment, that type of beating, your confidence wavers. Errol Spence takes another punishment, beating, and stoppage loss to Terrence Crawford, and then suddenly everybody thinks that, well, it's just Terrence Crawford. Terrence Crawford goes on to do what he's doing, and then Errol Spence is going to face Tim Tszyu and be the same guy that you saw against your Dana Sugas and Danny Garcia, Kell Brook, and Sean Porter? You think he's going to be the same guy facing off against maybe a fight with Brian Castano, who may not be the same guy after being brutally knocked out by Jamel Charlo, his close friend, training partner, and stablemate? You're just never the same guy. Now, this is not to say that Errol Spence can't possibly win a title at 154. But to think that he's going to be the same guy, I don't even know if his motivation is going to be the same, because there's such stock placed in his fight with Terrence Crawford, his relationship with Terrence Crawford, his rivalry with Terrence Crawford, that you're just never the same. You know, there was a lot of buildup for Manny Pacquiao and Floyd Mayweather. And after Manny Pacquiao was knocked out by Marquez, he wasn't the same guy. And then he got dominated by Floyd Mayweather. He wasn't the same guy. When he fought Jeff Horn, he wasn't the same guy that fought Floyd Mayweather and Juan Manuel Marquez. Wasn't the same guy. He had abilities, fast hands, fast feet. He did have a win against Keith Thurman. But just simply, he showed you he wasn't the same guy. History has shown us this. History has shown us this. If you get one punch knocked out, you could come back and bounce back and be the same guy. If you lose on decision and don't take so much punishment, you could bounce back and be the same guy. When you take a battering beating the way Errol Spence did, where both your eyes are shut, your nose is bleeding, your lips is bleeding, your equilibrium off, the referee has to wave it, you got dropped multiple times, you just absolutely got battered, you had no power, no oomph on your punches. Your punch resistance is not there. Roy Jones started to go on to get knocked out by guys like Glenn Johnson and Green, because your punch resistance, your reflexes, your confidence is not the same. So this is everything for Errol Spence. This fight right here is the most important fight of Errol Spence's career. He has to show resemblance of Errol Spence that we saw against Ugas, Danny Garcia, Kell Brook, Sean Porter. that version of Errol Spence needs to show up even in loss, or his career is over. I don't even know if his motivation will be the same. When you have a fight where you just hinge to a certain fight, when you look at Roberto Duran, now Roberto Duran, he didn't even take a beating against Sugar Ray Leonard in the rematch, but he quit, and he was getting outboxed. He had some big wins after that fight, but he was never the same guy. And if Errol Spence takes a beating like he did this last fight against Terrence Crawford, in this second fight against Terrence Crawford, his career, unfortunately, will be over. And again, maybe, just maybe, he's motivated to win a title at 154 against somebody else. The right opportunity may present itself. When you look at, although we found out that he had an unfair advantage, Antonio Margarito, the way he battered and beat up Miguel Cotto in Miguel Cotto's first loss. Miguel Cotto, although he went on to beat Margarito and do some big things after that, become a champion at 154 and so on and so forth, he was never the same guy we was accustomed to seeing before the first Margarito fight. Was never the same guy. So this is the most important fight of Errol Spence's career, and he has to prove, not to us, to himself, that he could be the same guy. And that's all I got for y'all. Make sure you hit the like button. Drop a comment in the comment section. Let me know what y'all think. Y'all already know what it is. It's your boy Blue, Blue Blood Sports TV. Hate, like, comment, and subscribe. You haven't subscribed, hit the subscribe button, hit the like button, hit the bell icon to get all the new notifications. Follow me on Instagram at Blue Blood Sports TV, all one word. That's all I got for y'all. I'm going. Peace.